It's Morgan and welcome. Today I'm going to take you behind the makings for these cute and colorful mini dinosaurs that I made. Christmas is approaching quickly and I wanted to make something for the kids in my family, but there are a lot of them at this point, so I needed something that would be small enough that I could make several of, but I also wanted them to be similar but different, so the same pattern but maybe different colors. I had several mini skeins left over from advent calendars that I'd gotten in the past. If you don't know what an advent calendar is, you get it. It starts the 1st of December and up through Christmas. You open up and you get like a little surprise every day. And I had found on Instagram people that were offering yarn versions of this, and I was like, I love this. So I've done the yarn advent calendars 3 times through artists that I've just found on Instagram and that I really liked the way that they used colors, and that's how I decided who I got from. And also they had really cool themes. There's themes for like all the fandoms and more, but my first 2 were Harry Potter themed. Let me show you. The first one was based on the first Harry Potter book, so each color was based on like a different character or a different thing. I used to know what all of them were, but now it's been a few years. But like this pink one's like Harry's birthday cake. It's got some like green icing in it, but this was a really fun one to do, and I wear this all the time because it has all the colors, so it matches everything. And this one was a knit along where the artist released a part of the pattern every day or each new day for you to follow, but the next one that I got didn't come with that, so it was more like do your own. So speaking of the next one, it was based on the spells from Harry Potter, and I actually made it into the sweater that I'm wearing right now, which is a gradient sweater. Well, that's what I turned it into, a gradient. And it is super cute, but it does have one little thing that I haven't finished. The armpits still need sewn up. They've got some like gaps in them from knitting. And I'm just like a chronic procrastinator sometimes, especially at the end of projects. So I haven't actually worn it out yet. But maybe now I will finish it. And then the third calendar that I got was based on magical creatures, I believe. I'll have to look it up. I'll also try to find all of the artists. It's been a few years, so I just need to track down. I don't quite remember. A lot's happened since then. So the third one I got was magical creatures, but not specific to Harry Potter. And I had started a project with these mini skeins where I was holding them together, like I was holding different colors together, but I just didn't like the way that the colors were coming out like that. It felt like it was muting some colors, and it's just not how I had imagined in my mind. And so I ended up ripping that out to make what is now these little dinosaurs. And I just want to put it out there, like, it's okay if you're not vibing with the project you started. It's okay to rip it out. You don't have to finish something that you're like, this is meh, not into this. You're not obligated to finish it. You can scrap it and make something else with it that you do enjoy. Which I did enjoy making these, and I think they came out really cute. Reminder to myself and to you guys, it's okay if you have to scrap and restart. So after searching on Pinterest for a little bit, I found this super cute mini dinosaur pattern that I thought would work really well with the mini skeins of yarn that I had. So I started a test run holding 2 strands of the same fingering weight yarn together, and with a size C 2.75 millimeter crochet hook. And I did that to make sure that I would have enough yardage and that the stitches were tight enough that there wouldn't be like huge gaps in between. So I'm pretty happy with the way that this turned out. And I think I have enough room through the whole of the tail to add in the eyes and the facial features, and then stuff it and then crochet up this hole and add the tail. And then the last thing I'll do will be adding spikes on top in a different color. I also gotta find the rest of my mini skeins. I'm pretty sure I have more, but they've just been moved around several times since we moved in this house, and I'm not sure where they ended up. But I'm gonna start with the yarn that I do have, because I got several of these to make, and we'll go from there. I'm gonna start out with the bodies, and as you can see, I've got moral support with me. Now that it's cold outside, I usually have a cat or 2 on my lap, keeping me warm. Here I've got Yzma and Lucy with me. I'm gonna make a batch of 5 bodies before moving on to the next step, which is the face. Now I've got Kiki joining me. I wish I could crochet as fast as this video. but alas, I'm just a human. So this video is sped up 4 times so you don't have to suffer through the slow, painful video of me going at normal speed. Once I memorized the pattern for the body, I can make one of these in about 2 to 3 hours depending on my focus level. Now that this batch of bodies is complete, I'm going to show you how I did the faces. Here are a couple of examples of what I'm about to show you. And please excuse my cats in the background. I'm using black embroidery thread and cutting it long enough to do both the eyes and the mouth in the same strand. Safety eyes would also work, but I only had a few pairs in the right size, so I just decided to use thread for all of them. I'm going to use a couple of stitch markers to mark where I want the eyes to be. Now that I've got my stitch markers in place, I'm ready to go in with my needle and thread, and I'm going to work through the hole where the tail will eventually be crocheted. And here's a little helpful tip for you. Don't leave loose strands hanging on the inside while stitching the face. Either weave them in or move them to the outside to deal with later. I didn't think about this when I did the first face and ended up with a mess on the inside that I had to cut out and restart. I stitched around each of the eyes 5 times. After I finished the eyes, I used the stitch marker to mark the center of the mouth. And then I started a couple stitches up into the side for smiley face. Now I'm done with the black thread, so I'm gonna flip the body inside out and tie up the thread and cut it. Next, I'm going to add the cheeks. I'm using some rose gold metallic ribbon stuff, and again, I'm going to mark where I want the cheeks to be with those stitch markers. And now these smiling blobs are ready to get stuffed. I'm going to use this clean wool fleece to stuff the little dinosaurs. I had spun a sample of this fleece, but it came out a bit too coarse for my liking, so now it's stuffing. I'm stuffing these through the tail hole, and I'm trying to get them pretty firm. After adding a bit of stuffing, I gave it a squish to see if it had been stuffed enough, but I decided that it needed more. So I kept stuffing until it passed my squish test. Now that these are stuffed, it's time to move on to the tails. I ended up picking up 2 extra stitches, one on each side of the tail hole, to prevent gaps. Then I just added 1 extra round of decreases to account for the extra stitches. Oh, okay, I guess I'm gonna stop for a cuddle break. Be right back. After crocheting a few rounds of the tail, I started stuffing it. The crochet hook is pretty helpful for this part. And then I'm gonna just finish crocheting the tail and add a bit more stuffing. And to finish the tail off, I'm going to take care of those loose ends. I'm using the strand at the tip of the tail to cinch up the little hole. Now that these little babies have their tails, I'm going to check them one last time for firmness. You may have noticed the yarn still dangling from the bottom, and that's because I haven't cinched up the hole yet. I chose to save that part for the end in case I wanted to add a bit more stuffing, which I usually do. And then once I'm satisfied with the final firmness, I'm going to weave through the stitches of the last round and cinch up that hole. Now it's finally time to add the spikes. This was a fun opportunity to play around with color contrast. I made the spikes off camera because they were quick, but here they are. Adding the spikes was the most frustrating and slow part of the whole project for me. It was difficult trying to make sure everything lined up nicely, and it was a bit chaotic with all the strands from the spikes. I ended up stabbing the loose ends through the body as I went in an attempt to control the chaos, and then I cut them all off at the end. And even though the spikes were a bit of a struggle, they made these little plushies come out so freaking cute. The pattern was pretty fun, and I think this pattern worked out really well with the mini skeins I had to make these dinosaurs. I think they came out super cute and just like they got their own little personality, and I'm excited to see what the rest come out and look like. I've already got the bodies started for those. This pattern and project would work really well with any kind of leftovers you have from other projects. Even a little bit you can use for the spikes. I think these would be so fun to do with some funky hand spun yarn to like really get that extra uniqueness and one-of-a-kindness and fun textures, and I'm just a fan of hand spun yarn. But I think that would make these super magical. Thank you so much for joining me on this creative journey. If you enjoyed this video, I want to invite you to hit the like button so this video reaches more people like you. And if you want more creative inspiration, I'm going to put a playlist up on the screen for my behind the makings for you to check out next. I'll see you again soon. Bye! And subscribe for future creative process videos.